I'm Logan Webb, and you're listening to TortureCast.
Swinging. There's a high drive. Deep into left center field. It's on its way. Adios! Pelota!
Let's go Giants! SF Giants! Let's go Giants! SF Giants!
A grand slam for Buster Posey's good friend.
A podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Chad King, Eric Nathanson, and Willie Dills. This is the TortureCast.
It's Wednesday, July 15th, 2026, and this is episode 343 of the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. I'm your host, Chad King, and joining me tonight, yes, we're recording at night, so maybe it sounds better. I don't know. We're getting Coors Light. Eric Nathanson. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I wondered if my voice might sound a little raspier later in the day because I'm a smoker, and so probably happens. I like to think of myself as a Will Arnett, but I don't have that kind of voice. But I actually want to start off. Exactly. Oh my! I listen to his podcast, so it's just a natural comparison, and I know he still smokes heaters like I do. I actually want to start off by apologizing to the country of England and all of England. I have a tendency when I get on a bandwagon or I think something's going to happen, it's the kiss of death, and the opposite happens. And I finally jumped on the England bandwagon for the World Cup in the semifinal here against Argentina. And of course, England fell to Argentina 2-1 on an extra time goal off a crosser from Messi, a header. I don't remember the name of the guy who did it. So I want to apologize to all the English fans. Bob, I'm sorry, man. I failed you. I told you Jude was brilliant, and it was a lot of fun to watch England. England-Mexico was, I think, the match of the tournament. It was phenomenal watching that match in Mexico, but I'm sorry to our English listeners. And I relate to English listeners because they root for a team, our Giants, and they're not in the same area as other fans, so they seek out fan engagement. And I also grew up away from the Giants, so I understand that. So I'm sorry, though, that I screwed over your World Cup goals. I mean, congratulations on getting the semifinals. That is a tremendous feat. I don't think it's happened since they won it in '66. I'm not sure. But I got sucked into this whole World Cup, and when I finally joined the England bandwagon, they lost.
Smackdown.
No offense to them. Yeah, no offense to them. I rooted for Norway, in the game before that because I thought it was cool. I did root for England against Mexico because I understand when it comes to international baseball and soccer and things like that, Mexico is actually our natural rival. It's not England. England's our rival in how we became a country. Mexico's our natural rival when it comes to sports. So, like those U.S.-Mexico games in the WBC are always contentious. As you remember, there was no handshake between Cal Raleigh and Randy Arozarena during this year's. Yeah, so, I recognize that Mexico is kind of our rival, so I was really pulling for England in that one, but I was leaning Norway. But I'm sorry, England, I did not mean to give you the kiss of death, and my apologies go out to all of our English listeners.
Yep, and they had a 1-0 lead in this game, too. But it is what it is. Argentina has come back from several games, so it's going to be a fun match for the final. Spain, they've allowed 1 goal in 7 games. They're looking pretty damn strong.
They're suffocating. Their defense is so suffocating. I'm telling you, Chad, I got sucked into this tournament when the knockout round started. I've watched every knockout round game. I've literally planned my days around.
That's amazing.
If I'm working on the television, I've watched every one of these knockout round games, and I'm not surprised. I'm a little surprised Spain. I didn't know that Spain had as good of a defense to suffocate France. I actually thought France was going to take it after watching a few knockout round games. But England, they put up a fight. I'm not as big of a fan of Harry Kane as other people might be. I think he's a flopper and a whiner. Jude Bellingham was magnificent. Jude Bellingham was absolutely brilliant. It was so fun to watch him. So, I'm sorry, England. But, I don't know if the goal was onside or offside on the game-winning goal in extra time. I don't understand offside rules in soccer. There's no defined lines. Like in hockey, how it's literally if a player is over the line before the puck
it's the blue line. Yeah, exactly.
Right. There's literally a line. In soccer, there's not. There's no line that extends across the field. So I don't totally understand. It's something about a certain body part being past the second defender, towards the goal or something like that. I don't get it. Even after researching it, I don't get it. But this is what happens when your baseball team sucks ass. And so you definitely fall. I'm not kidding. I put soccer on the big screen and the Giants on the little screen multiple times over the last month. Because that's what happens when the team sucks ass.
When the quality of one drug, drops significantly, you might pivot to another drug that's a little bit cleaner, that gives you a little bit better of a high. So, there you go. Right? Speaking from my grand, deep experience with drugs. No, I'm just kidding. If
to be clear, it was minimal.
Yeah,
that's
just to be clear. Not done that. So.
Totally minimal. Chad's not Eric.
Well, there you go. That's going to be fun to watch. And we've been gone for a little bit. Our schedules have been rough, but we are back here to talk about the Giants here at the All-Star break. And before we get into the Giants, what'd you think of both the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game? The Home Run Derby, unfortunately, I was busy, so I just watched highlights. And I usually make time for that, and I sit down and I watch every round. The All-Star game, I did watch pretty much every pitch. And man, I gotta tell you, that was a boring game. That was a real boring game. National League picked up only 3 hits. Our Giants, Webb and Arise, which we didn't even have a chance talking about because they weren't selected before our last podcast. Arise got a couple innings of defense and had a strikeout. Webb didn't even get in the game, so nothing really happened in that regard. But the National League was just absolutely contained. I mean, the American League pitching was just dirty, nasty, filthy. I did love the inning with Dylan Cease where he had the microphone and the earpiece, and him and Smoltzy were talking, and Smoltzy started to recommend pitches, and he would kind of go, I'm going slider, back foot, that kind of stuff. And he was really, really filthy as well. Struck out the side, actually, that inning. So those little bits were entertaining, but I mean, as a whole, I thought the game kind of stunk. I don't know. What did you think?
I watched both. The All-Star game sucked. There was, in 54 outs in the game, 27 of them were strikeouts. So half of the out in the All-Star game were strikeouts, and so it was boring. Mm-hmm. Put the ball in play. When the AL jumped on Christian Sanchez to start the game in the top of the first, that was it. And you can kind of feel when the rally was going, like this might be the best chance all game that they have. And it makes sense why Belly won the MVP. It was so hysterical, though. Sanchez, when it was still a 0-0 game before he allowed the 3 runs, you could see looking to the dugout. Dave Roberts wanted to come get him, and he's like, no, give me one more hitter. And you can see him put up his finger. Then he gave up the Belly hit that drove in 2 runs. He looks at the dugout. He's like, no, give me one more hitter. And then he gave up another hit. They gave up another run. It was 3-0. He's like, no, let me get one more hitter. He did not want to get pulled in the first inning of the All-Star. And he got the 3rd out. He did. He got the 8th hitter, and he got the 3rd out. So congrats to him. But that was the most intriguing thing. Apparently there was some really cute thing with some kids riding bikes, going to a game or something. I missed it. Every time Fox decided to, or MLB decided to do something in the middle of the game, I stepped outside for a cigarette because I was at work, and I'm like, I don't need to watch this. Let's just watch the game. The game was boring AF. I mean, seriously, the only excitement happened literally in the first 15 minutes of the game. But it's a shame you missed the Home Run Derby. I haven't had that much fun watching a derby in years.
That's great.
They changed it. They tweaked it. The no more clock. They went with the swings, and I really liked it because
I've always preferred the swings. Always preferred the swings.
They don't get exhausted like they did with this timer, and they don't try to force in as many swings as possible. Like, I'm okay if a guy doesn't hit 35 home runs in one night. If he hits 15, 20, 25, and some of them are 480 feet. And Wilson Contreras leading it off. Nobody knew what to expect with the new rules heading into the Derby. And then Wilson Contreras leads it off and hits not only the farthest home run of the first round, the most home runs in the first round. It was very surprising. And being an old, Cubs backer myself because of Karen, it was nice to see Wilson do so well on that stage. So it was entertaining. There was drama whether or not Schwarber or Harper moved on from the first round. And then there was drama in the final round when Jordan, what the hell's his last name? You have it, Walker. Oh my God! I thought I was rooting for Schwarber. I thought Schwarber had it, and all night long, none of these guys could hit the final ball out that had the magenta on it. Schwarber finally did it once in his round, and then he didn't do it again. And then Walker had to do it 3 straight times to win the competition.
Yeah.
And he freaking did it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just great, pure theater and drama. It was the most fun, literally the most fun I've had in years watching it.
No, it was a lot of fun. I saw some of the highlights. I just didn't see it live. I just love the old classic way of doing it. I grew up watching those home run derbies with Willie Mays and Harmon Killebrew and all those, the black and white.
The 90, the 3 out.
Yeah, I love those by inning.
They're on YouTube.
Yeah, they're hilarious. They're so fun. They're so fun to watch. I just, to be a fly on the wall there, just because they did it at some like high school park or something. It's like you see like traffic in the background and stuff.
They did it at Wrigley Field. There was a Wrigley Field that was built out in Los Angeles as well, and that's where they filmed these. And the guys would sit with the host announcer guy. They'd sit with him when they weren't batting. So if it was like Mays versus Mantle, when Mantle was at the plate, Mays would be sitting next to the guy who's literally calling the action, quote unquote, because there wasn't a lot of action. But it was just crazy because they would just sit there and chill. It was such a chill atmosphere. They're on YouTube if anybody wants to look them up.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right. Well, the Giants, not as exciting as the World Cup. 2 All-Stars, only 1 played and struck out as part of the half of the strikeouts in the game. They entered the break at 41-55, 4th place in the NL West, 19.5 back of LA, who of course has the best record in the major leagues. Yay, yay, yay. 10.5 games back of the wild card. Only the Mets and the Rockies are worse than the Giants in the National League, and then only Angels and the Royals are worse than the Giants in the American League. So not great. 6th worst, if I could speak. They now have the 6th worst record at the All-Star break in San Francisco history, so nothing to be proud of there. And one of the biggest things that I was looking at, I mean, I'm going to get into some of this stuff later. I asked AI some questions. I thought it was entertaining to see what AI thought of the San Francisco Giants. But you and I are humans. We can break this down a little bit. We know the Giants are lacking in more than one department. They had a bit of a resurgence of the offense back in the month of June. You saw Logan Webb just kick ass in June and get pitcher of the month and then promptly get whacked in both starts in July. So I don't know what the hell's going on there. We thought Logan was back and maybe he's not. I don't know. But one of the things that we definitely knew was a problem was the bullpen. Not only holding leads, but blowing it really late in games, Eric. And obviously we've been scarred by these 9th inning blown leads that turn into losses. And so I finally had to look it up. The Giants have lost 8 games after they were leading after 8 innings. In the 9th inning, they had the lead. They lost 8 times. It's a lot of 8s and 9s. Sorry about that. That wasn't very clear. That's a lot of baseball games to lose. They've only played, 96 games? They have 55 losses, but 8 of those 55 are after they had a lead in the 9th inning. That's not good. The average team, according to MLB stats, loses between 3 and 6 games in such fashion for an entire season. They've basically doubled that in a little more than half a season. So, by the end of the year, they might have blown, 12, 13, 14 games, which would just be atrocious. And if you swing those back, if you say, okay, just half of those games they should have won, and they'd still be above the average, right? That's an 8-game swing, right? They're 14 below. They'd only be 6 below. And if they had any higher than that, fewer games blown, they could only be 4 below or potentially even 2 below. So that's what's really frustrating. That really, to me, everything being equal, if you take 4, 5, or 6 of those blown 9th inning leads, the Giants would actually be not that far out right now, and we'd be talking potential playoff run, getting back, close to 500, and we'd be in a much better position. And I think that's what's really frustrating is because of that razor's edge the Giants have balanced on and just continually fallen off on the wrong side. Just kind of looking at the first half, there's that, but does anything else jump out at you? I know you had some bullpen stats that kind of corroborate what I was just talking about.
I do have some bullpen stats, and I'll definitely get to them in a moment. You add on, they've given up 50 runs in 71 innings pitched in the ninth inning. So apparently somebody walked them off without an out in the ninth, which is like close to the top of the list. The most inning they give up the most runs is the fifth inning. That's from the starting pitching. But the bullpen has been it. I mean, this is one of the better hitting teams in baseball. The Giants have 840 hits, the fourth most in baseball. Their current batting average is 256, fourth best in baseball. But they're not hitting deep balls, so that's part of what's the problem. They're nowhere near the top. They are 21st in home runs at 106. So that's part of the problem. You know, they're not driving in runs as much as any other team. They are 24th in runs scored at 395. And for an offensive team to be good, you need to drive the men in more on base. So there is an obvious flaw there. But I do think, you know, where you started here is the biggest flaw of the Giants in 2026. It's the bullpen. Their 4.47 ERA is the ninth worst. Their 4.63 walks per nine innings, sixth worst. They have 7.8 Ks per nine inning as a bullpen. So less than a K an inning is the fourth worst. A good bullpen should average probably 1.2, 1.3 Ks an inning. Yeah. You expect your relievers to come out there and surprise guys and have different stuff. And the Giants just don't do that. Their 1.42 whip is the eighth worst. Their 247 batting average against is the eighth worst. They only have 19 saves, the fourth worst in baseball. And, you know, you talk about losing leads in the ninth inning. They're 12 total blown saves. It's tied for the 18th fewest. Really? 18th fewest? 12 blown saves? That's kind of surprising. It just means that the Giants bullpen, when they are losing, they also keep getting piled on. It's not just blowing the games that they're leading in. It's blowing the games that they could keep the team in the game because this offense might be able to strike at the end of it. But no, they give up 2, 3, 4 runs. Suddenly you're facing a 6, 7 run deficit. The offense can't come over that, overcome that in the eighth and ninth inning. So the bullpen has been absolutely the biggest weakness of this team this season. It's been frustrating to watch, and there have been no answers. I haven't seen an answer yet, and I also haven't seen any evidence that Tony Vitello knows what he's doing there. But to give him some slack, he's also been dealt a shitty hand.
Yeah, he has, and they still don't have a closer, and Caleb Killian is just not cutting it. It's just not happening. The guy is not built for it.
Yeah, he lost it.
Yeah, he lost the job. And, you know, they don't have anyone else. I mean, obviously, Ryan Walker inherited it at the end of last year, and he has been one of the worst pitchers by far in Major League Baseball in terms of minimum number of innings pitched and ERA. I think he's the worst or second worst with like 26 or 28 innings pitched, something like that. I mean, he has just been awful, and obviously he was sent back down to AAA for the second time this year. I mean, that's bad when the Giants are demoting you. You know it's bad. His ERA is, over 7 right now. So you just count up and down the line and you realize the Giants' strength has always been pitching. It's not this year. It's just not this year. They're ranking really, really low in most of these stats, and it's just very, very frustrating. And it is antithetical or anti-typical. It's not typical for them to have this good of a hitting offense. Not saying they're generating runs for the reasons you just pointed out.
Well,
but I'm not used to them having a high batting average.
Here's a great example. There are 3 players on the Giants with 15-plus home runs at the All-Star break this year. Devers has 19, Schmidt has 19, Adames has 15. It's the first time since 1970 that the Giants have had 3 players on their offense with 15-plus home runs. And in 70, it was Covey with 23, Mays with 18, and Mays with 19, and Dick Deese with 18. So, I mean, their offense is there. You're right. Antithesis is the correct word. Here's the irony, is those Giants in 1970, they had the exact same amount of wins as these Giants did at the All-Star break. Mm-hmm. The difference is these Giants have played 11 more games and lost them all, so they're 41-55, while those Giants were 41-54.
Hey now.
Exactly. I had to throw that in there. But, I mean, it's crazy that we have that good of an offense and we can't win games.
Yeah. It's absolutely unreal. By the way, Casey Schmidt, I just wanted to mention something about him. He's obviously been very good this year. He's had a breakout year, hitting 280. He's got those 19 jacks. He's been smacking the ball. The dude Why does he not walk, Eric? Why does he not walk? 370 plate appearances, and he has 9 walks. 9. And 2 of them came in 2 games against Colorado, which was a shocker because prior to the game on July 9th, where he walked one time against the Colorado Rockies, he had not walked prior to that since May 24th against the White Sox. I mean, that is an incredible stretch of like 40 games in which he didn't even draw 1 walk. I don't understand the guy, but you know what? I'm here for it. I do wish he was a little bit more selective, but you can't complain with the results. 280 with 19 jacks and playing stellar defense, by the way. My God, some of the plays he's been making at third the past couple of weeks have just been incredible. He looks like Brooks Robinson over there. What's going on with that?
That play in Colorado when he turned that double play as he fielded the ball, stepped on the bag, and then, 2 steps into foul territory. He's like 15 feet into foul territory, still threw the ball across the diamond. And Dave Fleming going, "That was the greatest play I've ever seen." That was impressive. Casey Schmidt, the walking thing though, it's weird because he does expand the zone, but he expands the zone less than he used to. That's actually the corner he turned this year. Is he's not swinging at those sliders that are going off the outside part of the plate. He's not swinging at those sinkers that drop below the zone as much anymore. He's just not chasing. He's not getting fooled as often anymore. So I don't know how he doesn't walk. He just seems to be a guy who loves to swing the bat. I really think that's what it boils down to. Some guys in their head, they're like, I want to be a team player. Even if I have to take a walk, I know it helps the team. Casey Schmidt's a guy who walks up to the plate and says, I want to hit that from ball. I think that's really what it is. I think that's all it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. And out of all qualified players in Major League Baseball, he has the fewest number of walks with 9. Pretty crazy. Andres Jimenez has 11, but he also has, 60 fewer at-bats? Joe Adele has 12 walks. In about the same number of plate appearances. Ernie Clement with 13. So there's a couple down in his range, but for the most part, he is a weird anomaly, but it is what it is. All right. Look, the trade deadline's coming up, and we talked a little bit about this last time, and the Giants are clearly going to be sellers. They were sellers last year. At the deadline, they were 2 games under 500. Right now, they're 14 games under 500. I don't think there's any secret that they're going to sell. Common knowledge seems to suggest that Robbie Ray and Arise are 2 of the most likely candidates to get traded. Some sites have been putting it at like 90% chance, basically because of where they are in their contract, where they're producing. Playoff teams need these guys, what have you. First of all, do you agree with those 2? And then second, who are kind of the next on the list, and who are your sleepers that might get traded at the deadline?
Well, I hate the thought of Arise. I really do.
It actually makes me sick. Yeah.
He is one of the most entertaining and productive Giants we have watched over the last, I'd say 20, 25 years, honestly. He does it in a different way than a lot of the other guys did it, with power. But Arise is just such a fun watch. But the problem is, being on a 1-year deal, he is prime for that. But the one good thing is Arise has said to the Giants, I don't know if it's a good thing, I don't even know if they'll listen, but he told the Giants, don't ship me to a team that won't play me at second base. He wants to play second base. And he should. He's an all-star for playing second base. He's not just an all-star for his hitting this year. Even during the All-Star game, he made 2 decent plays during the All-Star game. I believe it was in the top of the 8th inning. And he looked like he was having a ball out there. It's hysterical. Rise, who never strikes out, struck out in his 1 at bat, but he went out there in the field and made 2 good defensive plays. It's kind of not how he's been this season, and how he's committed himself, and how Ron Washington has really influenced him. So it's a shame, but he is their number 1 probably offensive trade chip. Robbie Ray, absolutely. He's a guy you got to explore the options. Everybody wants a left-handed starter. And he's coming off some decent starts lately. He has not been crap. He walked a lot of guys in his last start. but I believe the Giants still won the game. I'm not sure which night he started the last few days, and so I can't remember who won the game. But Ray is definitely their prime pitching candidate. I do think Logan Webb should have been shopped. I did not like that Buster came out and said that that Webb is not going to be traded. No offense to Webb, I love the guy, but I mean, are you sure you're going to get a shot at a title or at least a deep playoff run in the next 2-3 years on this team? I mean, let's think about it. And then Matt Chapman's agent, Scott Boras, came out and said that there's been no discussion and no entertainment on trading him. So that was a bit of a surprise. I thought maybe they would at least explore. So it sounds like Webb and Chapman are off limits. And I don't know. I think Jung-Hoo Lee is the sneaky guy to get traded. I honestly do.
Yeah, I agree with that one too. I mean, I agree with you on Chappie. He has to waive his no trade clause too, and they haven't indicated as such. So I think that would be something they've been talking about because he does have to waive it. So they don't want to, ask him at the 11th hour, on August 1st. So, but Jung-Hoo Lee, definitely a guy because he's had a bit of a resurgence after a slow start. High contact guy, good defender in the outfield. He could really serve someone well in the playoffs.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's one of the best hitters in baseball. The guy Lee, it's funny. It's in my next take. He's 14th in hits in baseball with 100. He's 5th in batting average at 302. I mean, how would you not want that? He covers right field. He's willing to. The guy runs into a wall like he has no shame. I mean, how would you not want a guy like that? I think Lee is absolutely a sneaky possibility. You know who's funny? You know who we've all forgotten about? Did you forget about Harrison Bader as a Giant this year? When's the last time we saw that guy?
Yeah, I was looking at the Giants page today, and he's prominently featured on the left side of the web page, and I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Totally, it's funny because it just popped up tonight, and I was like, oh, I forgot about him.
106 at bats. Yeah. He got into 30 games. That's all we saw of him. Yeah, I just found that interesting when thinking about it because Adames isn't getting traded. You know who the other sneaky guy who could get traded is Elio Ramos. I could see Ramos getting traded as well, in a possibility, because again, he's got some power. He can play the outfield. He's hitting. I mean, he's 26 years old. I don't know what his contract status is, but I'm pretty sure he's under control, at least for this year and next year. Yeah. So I think Ramos is also something we should keep an eye on. I mean, do you want them to just gut the team or just like pick and choose?
I don't want them to gut the team. No, I don't. And it's not for this year. I believe they have some good parts that are still very serviceable in the years going forward. But I do agree, unfortunately, anyone who's at the end of their contracts who's having a decent year, like an Arise, which we knew when he signed the 1-year deal. I mean, hell, this was his 4th All-Star game. All 4 appearances are with 4 different teams. The dude is a journeyman, right? So I don't think any one of us pretended that Arise was suddenly going to find a home in San Francisco for the next 10 years. We knew that wasn't going to happen. We knew that this was a possibility if the Giants had a bad year because they would, try to trade parts to get some young talent. And sure enough, here we are. He's having one of the best, seasons of any second baseman this year. So he would be great for anyone in the playoffs, as like you said, as long as you play second base or he plays second base. I haven't identified those teams because most teams do have second basemen, so I don't know how that's going to work out.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see that happen. I'd be really sad to lose a Rise, but at the same time, if they go through the season with him and then come next year, he's going to get signed by someone else who's going to offer him a lot more money and a position at second base based on what he did this year. So, because his defense dramatically improved.
Well, that's why I wonder if he would be willing to come back to the Giants because of Ron Washington. I mean, say we trade him, we get some prospects, and then he finishes out the year playing as well as he's played. I can see him signing a 2-year, $25 million deal with the Giants. Arise, here are the stats. I'm going to bring out the stats that I mentioned before. Arise, he's second in batting average, 330, second in hits, 119, behind Otto Lopez of the Marlins, ironically a former Giants farmhand.
Yeah, former Giant.
Also, Arise used to be on the Marlins, so that could be their double play combo right now, and they'd be in a better position than they are. But that's the thing. I don't know. I think Arise has a shot to come back to the team. I know we talked about it last year with Tyler Rogers.
I was about to say, just like Tyler Rogers, womp womp.
Right. But Arise, he felt so. It seems like he feels so energized and loves Willie. I mean, he seems to really love Willie, and he seems so energized at the fact that the Giants gave him a shot at second base.
Yeah.
The question is are the Giants going to even make him an offer at second base? Because is that where Casey Schmidt has to end up next year? Because you have to find a place for Casey Schmidt on the team. So it's kind of a double-edged sword if you trade Arise, because you don't know if you'll be able to get him back. But if he does come back, I can see him doing like a 2-year, $25 million deal or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and, and that's a good way to look at it. I mean, it could be possible, but, like you said, injuries aside, like with Matt Chapman right now, if you do ship off Arise, then you got Casey Schmidt slotted right into second base, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. So, again, though, you lose a little bit of that.
Doesn't it feel like a waste?
Yeah,
Casey Schmidt has an amazing arm. Like, you don't want to put him at second.
No, he's been great over at third base, and there's something about Arise, who's he's like that little pesky gnat, and the way he just can stick that bat out and guide it wherever he wants. It's just so fun to watch. It's so fun to watch. I love that guy.
Yeah. We were joking around in our Giants Chatter chat. He barrels the ball. It's so funny that Kruko, oh my God, specifically Kruko on the broadcast is always like, Arise always manages to barrel up the ball. Honestly, he doesn't. He doesn't barrel up the ball.
No,
he barrels up the ball like fewer than anybody else in baseball. He guides the ball. He hits it off of whatever part of the bat is going through this. He's so good at doing that. And we haven't had a guy like that in forever on the Giants. I mean, I can't remember the last time a guy would just pepper another team with hits. It's a great addition to any lineup. It's weird that he's been a journeyman for so long. I don't know how some team didn't lock him down as their second baseman forever, like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's almost like he can bunt with a swing. You know what I mean? Like with a bunt, you can control it whichever direction you want for the most part. And he does that with a swing. He can just kind of alter his swing, and he can have some really ugly swings, but he's so effective in like, oh, that's a slider going out of the zone, but I still want to flick it to left field. Bing! He does it, Oh, there's an inside pitch. I'm going to rip it down the line, I mean, he's just so good at it. So it's just a lost art right now. So, it is what it is. But, oh, man, it's going to be sad to lose that guy. And you said you also had some stats on Lee and Eldridge, too. Wanted to give you a chance for those.
Lee I threw out there the last one. Eldridge is actually third on the team in walks, despite being eighth in plate appearances.
Huh. No kidding.
Right?
Maybe he can.
I thought that was pretty good.
Show Casey Schmidt a couple of things.
Yeah, he's got 28 walks and 217 plate appearances, which is roughly 1 in every 10 point something at plate appearances. Eldridge is walking. Oh my God, you think Casey would listen? I don't. And he's 12th among rookies in home runs with 8. So it's not great, but if Eldridge continues playing time every single day, he might crack double digits on the season. I really believe that. He's the kind of guy that if he gets in a groove, he's going to do it. And, he is the most – him, Devers, Arise are the most fun to watch on this team. Eldridge, because he does. He has a Hall of Fame eye. I have no other way to describe it. I texted you guys this one night. I think he has that Hall of Fame eye. And so if he can continue making contact, he could turn himself into a Hall of Fame type player. I just hope the Giants don't pick him up. And, also it's fun to watch Devers. Devers, I mean, it's so funny because Devers started off slow and we're all like, yada, yada. Devers is just the kind of guy that seems like Devers is going to be Devers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's
picked it up as of late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has, but he's going to have his strikeouts. He's going to have his moments where he doesn't look good. He's going to have his moments where he hits the ball 120 feet and it looks like he barely swung at it.
Yep.
He's just that kind of guy. I wonder if the Giants, though, would talk about sneaky trading. I wonder if they would consider trading Devers and thinking Eldridge is the future. Because this is going to really be tough to manage. Devers has quite a few years left on his contract.
I think that's the albatross. That's the problem, that other teams are not going to accept it unless the Giants eat a good portion of his contract, which you do see sometimes.
They're going to have to. It's the only way that deal would get done.
Totally. Yeah. No team's going to invest $30 million a year on him.
Would you hate it though? As much fun as Devers is to watch, and when you and I were in Arizona, we even commented to each other watching Devers on the field. Like, he was one of the more entertaining players to just watch. Period. In the box, in the field, things like that. I mean, I'd be okay if they traded Devers and Eldridge just got the job. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it, especially if they could soften the blow of the financial impact, and that would free up some, luxury tax space for, other dudes in the future. Unfortunately, I just think Devers, although he's had a great last kind of 30 games, he's definitely looking a little bit better. Just overall, he's still not at the level of production that we necessarily would have expected. That's all. That said, he still is on pace for 30 plus homers, and there's nothing, that's nothing to shake a stick at. That's fine. That's what we wanted from him. Maybe a slightly higher batting average. So, I mean, he's doing okay, but I just wonder about the age, because he does have 7 years left or whatever on his contract. And, those are the kinds of contracts for the last, 3, 4, 5 years are just horrific. They're just horrific. He's been good in terms of injuries. Obviously, he, played 163 last year. He's been doing great this year. So durability hasn't been an issue. But yeah, I just get worried about the back end of that deal. So if they could pull the ripcord now, soften the blow, and they have, a future with Eldridge, who's just been getting nothing but better and better and better. His power's ticking up. His eye is good. His defense is good. I could see this guy in a year or two being an all-star. So we'll see.
Here's some fun numbers. Eldridge has 217 plate appearances. Devers has 407. Eldridge's OPS is 832. Devers 799. So the production is a tick better.
Sure.
He is better option at first base when it comes to offensive numbers. It's funny, you go to walks because Devers leads the team with 38, but he's also had, like I said, almost 200 more plate appearances than Eldridge. Eldridge only has 10 fewer walks compared to him. And he also doesn't strike out as much. Well, I guess it's about more on the strikeouts. Eldridge has 53, Devers has 111. So Eldridge is ready to step in. I mean, they've made him an everyday player ever since that blow up this year. So Eldridge is ready to step in. So if they can somehow finagle away, and I will absolutely, if we're going to get into this in a few minutes about MVP, LVP, and I'm not happy with the front office, and that will come out there. But if Buster Posey and Zach Menazen can agree to eat some money to get rid of Devers and just hand first base to Bryce Eldridge, I will not be angry. I will not be angry at all. I will actually think and feel that it is a step in the right direction. I think Bryce Eldridge is the future when it comes to that. So Devers is, I guess, more than a sneaky trade candidate. He may be a prime trade candidate.
Yeah, just depends on which sucker they can get for this. So,
well, who needs a first third baseman? You know what I mean? That's who it is. Go find that team.
What I did, I thought this was entertaining. This was a couple of weeks ago, but not much has changed. I asked AI, specifically Gemini. We're all tinged with our own history, our own biases about the Giants, and also why we think they're good or bad. And obviously the stats will point us in the right direction. We already talked about it, Eric. We already talked about the bullpen woes. We already talked about the lack of run production, despite the fact that they do have a high kind of batting average and contact and all that stuff. But I asked Gemini, why do the San Francisco Giants keep losing? That's just all I asked it. So here's Gemini's overview. The San Francisco Giants' struggles stem from an underperforming offense, an unreliable bullpen, and roster inflexibility. I thought AI was pretty good about picking that up. Expensive free agent signings and traded veterans have frequently failed to produce at expected levels, and the team lacks bench depth and unified offensive momentum. The primary factors driving their continued losses include the lineup struggles to get on base, hit with runners in scoring position, and consistently draw walks. Several high-profile hitters acquired via trades or free agency have seen their power and production drop significantly after joining the team. Bullpen weaknesses. Late game relief pitching has been a recurring liability. A lack of trustworthy arms means managers are often forced to overuse the same relievers or rely on less experienced pitchers in critical late game spots. Roster construction and depth. The team lacks flexibility, resulting in fewer pinch hit options and limited ability to take advantage of platoon matchups. Several key positions have suffered from poor production, and prospects have not consistently translated their skills to the major league level. And then sluggish execution and pressing. Fans and analysts note that the team often gets bogged down by mental errors, sloppy base running, and a lack of fundamental execution, which compounds as players try to press their way out of slumps. I mean, that wasn't too bad. I thought for like kind of an AI synopsis, it hit a lot of the points that we certainly have talked about over the last, couple of months. But another one that we haven't talked about recently is that it's the mental errors, and that just adds up, not just the physical errors that can translate into pressing, especially when the bullpen is failing consistently in the late innings. That's a mental trap. I mean, we as fans, we're now expecting them to blow games in the ninth inning. So if we're experiencing that, the players are. They're not infallible. And I think that does kind of create that snowball effect. People go out and people are like, oh boy, I don't know if Caleb's going to nail this one down again. And sure enough, oh, there we go. the floodgates have opened and we lost again. And it, consistently does that. So, but yeah, I mean, specifically, I would say lack of a closer definitely is something that we're pointing to, and we keep thinking about that press conference that Buster Posey had, where they were really asking him a lot of questions about not having a closer, and he said, "What would you guys expect us to do? Go out and get Mariano Rivera?" And it was like, well, someone better than you have, that's for sure. You didn't make it a pressing priority. You thought that, closer by committee would work, and it absolutely has not. And that's been their Achilles heel this year, for sure.
Can we both agree that is the most defensive we have ever heard Buster in a press conference?
Yeah, he was.
Even the Pride Night stuff, he didn't sound as defensive. He sounded crappy. He didn't have the right words to say. But he didn't sound as defensive as he did over the bullpen in that one press conference. That was unbelievable. AI kind of nailed it. They really did. There's definitely things here that flexibility you mentioned twice, which is hysterical, because they and not you mentioned it, they mentioned it twice, and the team often gets bogged down by mental errors, sloppy base running, lack of fundamental execution. You could have just stopped at mental errors. You didn't have to add sloppy base running and lack of fundamental execution. It's the exact same thing. Very much. It's true. And you have to wonder, is it a Tony V problem? That is the one thing I don't know. I don't have an answer for this. I am not in the camp of Tony V needs to get another year, Tony V needs to get fired yet. I'm in no camp. I'm just riding the season out how it is. But with how sloppy this team has been this year, is that a Tony V problem?
It has to be partially. It absolutely has to be. I do give him a pass on how the roster is constructed. I mean, there's not a lot he could do. People get mad that he puts in, Caleb Killian to close out or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, who do they have? Like, you put out Eric Miller and he blows it. You put out, this guy and he blows it. You're going to say the same damn thing. He just doesn't have the right tools. You're looking for a Phillips head and you got a flat head. You can't blame that on the handyman. It's like that's what he was given. So, sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not going to be able to turn that screw. And it just sucks. And that's just the way it is. So, this is a roster construction issue. But when it comes to fundamentals, mental errors, and those things, that is a bit of a coaching issue, because he's got to be able to get these guys in room and somehow convince them to play better. I'm not the expert. I'm not the one that should know how to do that. Otherwise, I'd be managing in the major leagues. He is supposed to know. And there's just too many mental errors for this to be just, he can't do anything about it. And that's what he's paid to do, right? He's paid to construct a lineup, and he's paid to manage games and coach the players, and or put together a team of coaches that can do the same thing. So if they cannot execute that, then that is squarely on the shoulders of the coaching staff, for sure. no doubt about that.
But like you said, he's new to this, so there is a bit of a learning curve, and so maybe we shouldn't hold it over his head until he does this crap next year. But again,
we'll see how much rope he has. But
well,
yeah,
I mean,
we talked about this last time. We agree that he's going to be given the rest of this year. He's going to start next year for sure, and we'll just see how it goes.
Right.
Yeah. We'll just see how it goes. So, if he has another incredibly horrid start to next year, I think we can start talking about a midseason replacement. But
I mean, it's not like I don't think Buster and Zach and Tony had any visions of, we're going to win the World Series this year. I think they all went in. I think they had eyes wide open, not open wide enough because they didn't do anything with the bullpen, but they had eyes wide open that this year was going to be a learning experience. Mm-hmm. And I think that is literally the crux of everything that has happened to the Giants. AI's answer could have just been, well, you hired a manager straight out of college. You're not sure about your bullpen, so the team may suck this year. And I think that's the answer. Like, Tony's got to have time to learn how to navigate all the situations. Buster also is still learning how to manage being the president of baseball operations. Zach Manazin, he's, I guess, still learning how to be a GM, and you wonder if that's all things. So hopefully future things can come together. But, they had to have their eyes wide open that this year was not a World Series winning year. And so I actually give them credit, as I'm about to not give them credit. I give them credit that they at least had eyes wide open, because nobody here had expectations of a World Series this year.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone did. So I think there were some expectations of maybe sneaking into the playoffs, but
that was it. That was the highest.
Yeah, maybe sneaking in. Yeah. All right, so I wanted to talk about first half most valuable player and least valuable player. I'll go ahead and go first. For MVP right now, we just talked about him, Arise. I mean, he's just been so fun to watch. His contact, his attitude on the field, his defense, it's all been fantastic. And yeah, his WAR is up there. We can go by just purely metrics, but this is a little bit more of a vibe check than, just purely stats. And that goes hand in hand with Logan Webb. And you know what? It's not his best year. I think we all can recognize that. It's been an extremely streaky year. He was Pitcher of the Month for June, which, by the way, that was his first award for a monthly Pitcher of the Year, Pitcher of the Month, which was fantastic. I mean, I know it did surprise me too. I had to look it up, and indeed, that was the case. I had his results up here. Yeah, so in the month of June, he only gave up 3 earned runs in 27 innings or so. So he was just immaculate. He was fantastic. Lowered his ERA from, I believe it was 5.2 to 3.2, so a full 2 runs. Unfortunately, after he got the award, he promptly went out and soiled the bed with 7 earned runs in 3 innings at Colorado, which is never a fun place to pitch. And then 5 earned runs in 7 against Toronto. But that was the game where he gave up 5 runs in the first inning and then settled down. So it's you wish you could erase
he pitched
that.
Well the rest of that game.
So unfortunately, at the end of June, he had his ERA all the way down to 3.09. It was getting close to sub 3. But now it's at 3.86 for allowing 12 earned runs in 10 innings in July. That said, when you concentrate all your damage into, the last 2 starts after you get your ERA down to 3.99, I'm going to give you a little bit of a pass, especially one of those games was in Colorado. So, hopefully those are just throwaway aberrations and he'll get back on track. But he's really been, look, Robbie Ray's been fine. Okay, Roop's been mediocre to crappy, but other than that, Logan Webb has absolutely been the anchor, as we would expect of this starting rotation. So I think that just adds a lot of pressure as that number 1 starter, as the ace. So I'm going to give him that as well. And then for least valuable player, even though the guy's in AAA, he has quite a few innings with the team after 2 stints in AAA. But Ryan Walker, what a just a horrific season he's had. Just bad. And it's not just the political stuff that's aside from it. Just his performance on the field has just been atrocious. I don't know if he has any redeeming qualities left, to be honest. And then Tyler Mahle, unfortunately, Malley, sorry. He's been just a disappointment. His ERA is over 5. He just has not been consistent, and he's above his career numbers right now. So it's been a disappointment for a rotation we expected to be somewhat solid this year. It just has not turned out to be such the case. So I would put him also in that same camp too. I did pick 2 pitchers there, but I think that's reflective on one of the biggest weaknesses of this team is their pitching. So what about you?
Yeah, you're right. I concentrated on the bullpen earlier tonight, but you're right. Starting pitching hasn't been good. I mean, Malley, 1.4 home runs per 9. Hauser, 1.5 home runs per 9.
Yeah.
Trevor McDonald. Okay, no. And Trevor McDonald has shown flashes, and then he's shown flashes. The opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Adrian Hauser popped into it. All right, time to get into mine. All right. Well, I think the first half MVP is Casey Schmidt.
Mm-hmm.
He has turned into a regular, above-average player. Like, I really think he could have been named to the All-Star team this season. I was a little surprised he didn't get more consideration.
I thought he was a leading candidate to be a reserve for sure. And, it's one of those things where you got to have one player from every team. And it just didn't go his way because Arise really was a standout. I mean, there's nothing to that was great. That was a great pick. And then Logan Webb was pretty much selected prior to his blow-up, so that's understandable too. And I think at that point, they're not going to put a third giant on the team because the team's performing poorly and they need to get players from other teams. So I think
like the Phillies and the Dodgers, apparently.
Oh, my God. Everyone from the
teams.
Phillies. Jesus Christ. I know. It's been bad.
Seriously, why do they have so many fucking guys? Sorry.
Yeah. No, it was great. Schmidt is absolutely on the top of my head, too. That's a great pick.
That's the thing. He has 98 hits. He's only 2 short of where Jung Hoo Lee is at. Yeah, you mentioned that he only has 9 walks on the season. He struck out 71 times. That's not as bad as Devers. That's not as bad as Adames. That's not as bad as even Matt Chapman. He has that better. His batting average, like I said, 280. I mean, that's freaking good. For a guy whose utilities OPS is over 800, it's 805. It's better than freaking Devers. It's better than Adames. It's better than Ramos. Lee, he's not as much of a power hitter. But you see where I'm going with this. It's just Casey Schmidt, and he's also answered the bell. Whatever position, whatever moment that the Giants have put him in this season, he has said, okay, I will do what you ask of me. And that just impresses me. I'm a guy, I could play all 9 positions. I'm not trying to be funny. I literally could play all 9 positions. I pitched, I've caught, I've played everywhere else. My favorite places are catching and center field. Pitching is too much pressure. But Schmidt is a guy who can literally he's played left field. He hadn't played left field since high school? If you break down where he started each game, I'm clicking on his stuff right now. Oh, man. All right, splits. It's been amazing how he's been so versatile and still contributing to the team on a constant basis. Look at this. He's played 13 games at first, 7 at second, 14 at third, 5 at short, and 30 in left field. He's not a left fielder. He's an infielder. He showed us he had the strongest arm most recently. So Casey Schmidt is definitely my first half MVP. I love watching him. Like I said, he's 26 years old, so he's coming up on his he's 27. He's on his age 27 season. So it makes sense. That is, quote unquote, supposedly the peak male athlete time frame. So it makes sense that he's coming through this year. So I think he was snubbed for the All-Star game, but he is my MVP for the Giants in the first half. And my least valuable player is the entire Giants organization. I'm not including players in this. I am just talking about the front office and scouting and handling things when it comes to Pride Day and Buster Posey and Zach Minasian thinking that the bullpen was okay. Buster Posey and Zach Minasian started signing Tyler Malley and Adrian Hauser and thinking the rotation was okay. I think the least valuable player is the organization top to bottom. They have made this. The Giants may have the 6th worst record they've had in their history at the All-Star break, but I can't remember this team ever being so down at the All-Star break. Not only are they a crappy team when it comes to the standings, their PR is just horrible. And I never remember being in this position. And I've never seen so many people be disgusted to be Giants fans because of how they handled things during this season. And I also understand those people, and I respect their opinion. This is something new that we've never seen. So the least valuable player is the organization from the top all the way down to the GM.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really, really good call, and it's great that you were kind of thinking outside of the field, the confines of the diamond right now, because I could not agree more with how the Giants front office have handled not just the roster construction, the lack of awareness of obvious weaknesses in the bullpen, which they dismissed and almost like were offended by people asking them that question, which has proven to be absolutely spot on, to their PR and how they've handled these situations. I mean, it is not just Pride Night, but other situations as well. It's been really embarrassing. I used to take pride, pun not intended, in how my team interacted with the community, how they portrayed themselves to the national media and to baseball audiences abroad, and how they were always in the mix of causes and just things and the right kind of the right side of history, if you will. You know what I mean? They were empathetic. They cared about people. Yes, I know the bottom line behind all of that is still the money. I get it. Charles Johnson, a right winger who's got issues, is behind a lot of this. Those have always been there, but at least the veneer on the outside was one of caring and doing good things in the community. And I just feel like a lot of that has not only disappeared, but they have regressed so far that a lot of the goodwill that they've built within the community and amongst Giants fans has completely evaporated for a lot of people. I mean, you have a lot of season ticket holders canceling their memberships. You have, a lot of people saying they're not going to buy merch and all that. And we'll see how long that lasts. It could be all just, smoke and rage from, a small minority of Giants fans. The real, result is going to be kind of how attendance is going to be the rest of this second half. And specifically into next year when a lot of the season ticket holders might have dropped off by then. And we'll see how that all pans out. But just me personally, despite how that does pan out, I just feel a little bit less pride in this organization. So they got a lot of damage control to take care of, and I still have not seen them moving in the right direction. I'll be brutally honest. I don't see them doing this anytime soon. So I think that's a good call. Least valuable player, not just for on the field shenanigans, but off the field as well. Willie, who couldn't be with us tonight, I think he had his pool night tonight, did text in his MVP, and he's going with Jung Hoo Lee for bouncing back after a slow start, and he said, honorable mention is Arise. And then least valuable player, Walker, and he hadn't seen mine, I hadn't seen his, but he agreed, Ryan Walker for killing early momentum, but he also threw in Chapman for bad play and bad leadership. So I think he's still referencing the hit the damn ball, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it really looks bad now, I got to admit. I know it was the heat of the moment. I'm not giving Chappie crap for it. It was heat of the moment. He's a competitive guy, and I'm sure they've all made up. But boy, you look at the performance between Chapman and Schmidt now, and you're like, Chappie, buddy, you're being way overshadowed. I'm sorry, but that little one day that Schmidt messed up, or you think he messed up, it's water under the bridge at this point with your performance compared to him.
It was like game 6 of the season.
Yeah, it was real early. Yeah,
it was. They were in San Diego, I think. So it was like game 6 or 9, or you know what I mean. It was somewhere in that phrase. Oh yeah, Schmidt's totally okay. I agree with Willie. I like that he threw Chappie in there, honestly, because Chappie's been a disappointment, both at the plate and in the field. There are plays that Chapman should have made that he totally screwed up this year. So yeah. I've had a hard time with Matt Chapman. I really have.
And we'll see, because it does seem to be more than a coincidence that his play really started to descend when he initially hurt himself. it wasn't against Oakland. I can't remember who it was against, but then he went on the injured list after Oakland, and he said, "Yeah, I've been fighting that injury for the last 6 weeks or whatever," and it kind of corresponded with a lot of his drop in production and a little bit of his play, although that kind of bugged him at the beginning of the season in terms of his defense. So I'm looking forward to see if we get a little bit of the old Chappie when he comes back, to see if that injury is healed, if it's going to reflect at a resurgence at the plate. But I mean, going in, we were going to record a couple of weeks ago and it didn't work out, but I had some stats on Chappie, and he was like, 2 for his last 47 or some ridiculous stretch. He just was just atrocious leading up to his stint on the IL. So I have to believe that his physical, conditioning and injury issue had some effect on it. So hopefully he comes back. But, I got to also say, if you're hurt, you got to maybe, take one for the team and sit it down a little earlier than that. So I appreciate the competitive nature of players who do that, but sometimes you can actually be hurting the team, and it's not for the greater good. Sometimes you got to rest. It's very frustrating.
Oh, yeah. It is. Right. That's leadership. He didn't have it there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're going to wrap up with just a quick discussion. We're not going to go in all the Giants draft picks. That would be a 2-hour show in itself. But the draft did happen last week, and the Giants picked number 4, and that was headlined by UC Santa Barbara right-hander Jackson Flora. And what's really cool about Jackson is that he grew up in the East Bay, in Walnut Creek specifically. That's where my wife's family is from. And he grew up a Giants fan. He grew up going to Oracle Park. He grew up watching the World Series. He said he was in Giants gear constantly. He sounds like one of those baseball kids, we all know him. They're just wearing your favorite team's gear every day, 6 days a week kind of thing. And if he was a baseball nut, I wouldn't be surprised. So, there's always a feel-good aspect to that. You think of Brandon Crawford and those kind of players who grew up Giants fans, got drafted by the Giants, and ended up spending, almost, not quite, almost his entire career with the Giants. Could this be another one of those? He was considered the best pitcher in the draft, and so the Giants took him. And I think it was a great pick. Everyone seems to love this kid. His stats on the Gauchos was just absolutely insane. He was 12-0 with a 1.06 ERA and 133 strikeouts in 102 innings, and was named Big West Conference Pitcher of the Year and the National Pitcher of the Year award. And a lot of scouts say he's probably the closest to being pro ready. So, assuming no injuries and kind of his expected development curve, because he still has a little bit of weight he can put on him. He's 6'5", he's a pretty big dude, but he's only 200 pounds, so he's a little thin for his frame. You could see this guy maybe, if everything goes right, hitting the big leagues in like 2 years. What'd you think about the pick?
I think it's a great pick, and I think we'll see him sooner than 2 years.
Yeah.
38 and a third scoreless innings this year from March 6th to April 10th.
Yeah.
And you got to figure he was the Friday starter. If you know college baseball at all, the Friday starter is when you want to put your best starter on the mound.
Yeah.
You're at the start of the weekend 3-game series, and that's kind of how it is. So you got to figure he probably pitched once a week. So March 6th to April 10th, we're talking probably 5 starts. And he didn't allow a single run, 38 and a third innings. So we're only talking 7 and 2/3 innings almost every single start that guy's out there. So he's shown that he's got some stamina. I love this pick of Jackson Flora. I really do. He's 6'5", 205. His fastball is rated out at 70. His slider's at 55, changeup 55. But he doesn't have the control down as much, but which makes sense for young pitchers. So he's on the fast track. I would not be shocked to see Jackson Flora in a Giants uniform next season. I really wouldn't. I think he's on. Yeah, I think he's on the fast track. I really do. I think the Giants will give him a shot. I think they'll invite him to spring training next year, and he'll show some things, and he'll be on the big league roster at some point next year. I think this is a great pick. The Giants lucked out. They were in a lottery where they had the 10th pick is where they should have slotted in, but they ended up with the 4th pick, and I think they cashed in on Jackson Flora. I really do. UCSB has become a pitching haven lately.
I know, it's weird, right?
It's really good, right? Who knew? USCSB. The Gauchos, they don't even make the College World Series. I don't think they've ever been there before. But there's other like Cal State Fullerton, UCLA teams in California that do make, deep runs like that. CSB is not one of those teams, but Jackson Flora is following in the footsteps of some good pitching lately. I think he's set up to move up the ranks pretty well. I like the pick by the Giants. Glad they did not stray from best player available. I'm glad they didn't act in a stupid way. They picked best player available, and I think Jackson Flora could be a big leaguer next year.
Yeah. What was really fun about the draft is I think we've all been touched by, certain people within our lives who, like for you, it might be umpires or other people who played baseball. For me, it was, a couple of people I knew in college, and, a couple made the pros, or it was a friend of a friend who made the pro and we went to go watch them, stuff like that. Recently, this draft, our nephew, who's the same age as my daughter, he's 21 now. He played high school ball with this guy, Ryder Helfrich, at his high school in Walnut Creek. And he went on to go play for Arkansas, and he was drafted number 15 in the first round. And so Ryder invited our nephew to his draft party in Discovery Bay in the East, in the Sacramento kind of Delta East Bay area, to a draft party. So Gabe, still friends with him, and so he's like, yeah, sure, because he was going to go down to Disneyland to watch his little sister go do a dance thing, and he's like, sorry sis, I'm going to a draft party. So he got. I just think that is the coolest thing, that our nephew, got to experience something that a lot of us don't get to experience. He got to sit down with one of his good high school buddies and watch him get drafted, and not like in round, not the 500th pick. I mean, we're talking first round, number 15. Like, he was right there at the beginning. So he was drafted by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it's just crazy to think he's going to obviously get some $1 million+ signing bonus, and this kid's life has changed forever. It's just wild, and he said it was great. So I can't wait to talk to him about it a little bit more, kind of what that experience was like. He was ranked around 11 or 12 by MLB, but he actually slipped a couple of picks, and Arizona said that was always their number one pick, and they were really happy that he slipped a couple, or at least he was still on the board. So they got him, and that was just really, really cool. So he was posting stuff about it, and his mom as well. So that's pretty neat. So it's like when you know someone who knows someone, you kind of follow them through the major leagues. So we'll see what this guy, develops into, if anything. But yeah, the Giants, they obviously drafted quite a few players, and I would say the only other notable names, of course, is in their fourth pick in round 3, number 81 overall, was the nephew of Barry Bonds, Peyton Bonds, who played for Rutgers. He's an outfield. He's a right-hander. He really did wow people at the MLB Combine. He's not as much of a power hitter like his uncle, but he's a high average hitter and a good defender. So that'll be interesting to kind of track. And then in the 12th round, the number 358th pick, they picked up Josiah Kemp, who is also the nephew of oh my God, not Todd Kemp. What's his name? Matt Kemp, longtime Giants rival, who played, of course, mostly with the Dodgers. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Outdated reference. I was hoping you weren't going to say Jack Kemp.
No. But anyway, they have a whole list here. You can look it up on MLB. But they have 20 rounds, so they did pick up a right-handed pitcher with pick number 598. Boy, these kids' lives are forever changed. It's pretty cool to see this every year. You know what? The reality is, though, you see this whole list of 20 or so players, and only a few of them are ever going to make the team. You know what I mean? That's what's crazy about it. If that, exactly. Yeah. It's like these guys are all drafted, but most of them, the vast majority of these kids, are never going to see the major leagues, let alone AAA. So it's, this might be the end of it.
Is 6'5", 230. He's a right-handed hitting center fielder and the son of Bobby Bonds Jr. So Bobby had, I believe, 2 boys, Barry and Bobby Jr. You ever think Barry is upset that he's not the one that didn't get named Bobby Jr.? Or do you think he appreciates that he had his own identity? I mean, being the
I don't know.
home run leader, you got to wonder, like, okay, well, at least I'm not Bobby Bonds Jr. I don't know.
Right.
So I think it's fun that they drafted Bonds' nephew. He turns 21 next month, so he's still a kid.
Yeah.
So it's still going to take a couple of years for him. He hit 267. He stole all 14 bases he tried for. So, I mean, it's a fun pick. It really is. But, my focus is really on Jackson Flora.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope he gets a shot. I hope they fast track him. If he is as good as the scouting reports say, fast track him. Who gives the F? The Giants are not winning the World Series in the next 2 years. Just let's find out who can help us. Just do.
Love it. All right. Well, we'll watch how he develops or they develop. Just real quickly before we wrap up, just going to go over some of the latest injuries. Daniel Susak has been out since June 26th. He's expected back in the Seattle series as they open up the second half. We just talk about Chappie. We'll see when he comes back. He was still shut down, of course, over the All-Star break. Victor Barracoto was put on the IL on July 10th. We'll see what happens there. Jonah Cox left oblique strain on July 8th. He's on the 10-day IL. He's expected sometime early in the second half. And you go from there. There's Matt Gage, July 4th. Harrison Bader, May 30th. He's continuing all baseball activities, including his base running progression. But a lot of these updates are not an expected return
he can run.
date.
Yay,
I know,
he can run.
exactly.
I mean, what the fuck is base running progression? give me a freaking break. That's ridiculous.
I know.
Oh yeah, he can run. Woo woo woo. I don't know. And it says here, Buto is not. He's resumed throwing 4 times a week, out to 75 feet, and that was updated July 6th. That's surprising. I didn't think Buto was going to throw the ball this year. How about you?
Yeah, after he had, what was it, blood clot or whatever the hell it was?
Blood clot in his arm,
yeah, exactly. Then because they have to do that surgery to kind of do the bypass around it. So, that's great. Birdsong, of course, is out for the year because of his UCL. Randy Rodriguez, though, they're still saying maybe the end of this year he could make an appearance after his Tommy John, but it's one of those things. Don't force him, don't rush him, especially if they're not.
From
they're not
Missouri.
heading anywhere. It's like whatever.
Show me
what it is. Show me.
Yeah, he ain't showing. I don't think Randy's coming back this year, and it makes sense. What's the point? You blew your arm out late last year. Why do you want to come back to an organization that's going to be 25 games under 500 by the time you show up? Doesn't make any sense.
No. Well, after the break, the Giants resume their second half on Friday, July 17th here, 3 in Seattle and then 3 at Kansas City before coming back home for, I believe, a 6 or so game homestand. Unfortunately, I will be on travel with the family for summer vacation, and we typically don't record while I'm gone. I got the gear, and I don't bring it with me to our vacation land, so we're going to be out for a couple of weeks again, so sorry about that. But it's not like the Giants are doing well, so
Chad has no loyalty, no commitment. Come on, people. How does this guy not want to about a 41-55 team? I'm really upset. This is so tough.
Yeah, I know. It's already hard to tell my kids, like, on a night like tonight when they want to go play poker or pickleball. Sorry, guys. Dad needs to go record for a mediocre team, a crappy team.
Mediocre? Oh, my God, you're being nice.
Team. Oh, it's pretty funny. I know. There's a little less gusto in the tent.
It's ridiculous.
For this team.
But we wouldn't be here right now, you and me, talking like this if we hadn't been doing this for so many years. We've literally seen the highest of highs. We've seen the lowest of lows. At least we can enjoy, these crappy seasons and call them out for what they are. I shouldn't say enjoy these crappy seasons because we're both annoyed by the team. But at least we can call them out for what they are because we've seen everything. It's so much fun. I'm glad we still get to do this. I'm so appreciative to our fans. Again, English people, I'm sorry. But I'm so appreciative to our fans because I love doing this. I love being able to still talk Giants baseball, even though they suck. Because, we were talking pregame about how it's hard to watch games because, they suck so much. But for some reason, the last like week and a half, I watched every game, and I don't know why, and it kind of hurt. So it's good to vent a little bit about how bad this team is at times. Because, like I said, Giants are not winning the World Series this year, next year, or probably the year after that.
Yeah, we've talked about it before. One playoff appearance in the last 9 seasons. Obviously, we're going on, 10 this year. That's not going to happen. And that's where it gets frustrating, Eric, because we did experience the high of the highs. We started this podcast, well, not you and I, but Willie did. I came in just a few months into that first season, which was the 2011 season, the year after they won their first World Series. And, right when I joined, here we are. We won, they won in 12 and they won in 14 and they were back in the playoffs in 16. So in my first, 5.5 seasons of this podcast, they won 2 World Series and made the playoffs another season. I thought, oh, right, this is going to be great. This team's going to keep going. We were covering the team. We had access at Oracle Park. It was Buster Posey and Madison Bumgarner, Brandon Crawford, and all these, Tim Lincecum, and just all these great players. It was like, this is the way it's going to be. And then 2017 happened, and 2018, and then 2019, and then the pandemic, and then 21, the little brief blip of their best record in franchise history, and then it's been crap ever since. And so it is becoming a bit of a long stretch, Eric. 10 seasons where 9 of them are 500 or worse. It's not good. And yet we're still here, Eric. Like you said, we still enjoy talking to each other. We enjoy each other's company. We like talking about the team. We like joking about it, being a little self-deprecating sometimes about, our own experiences in the team itself. But, hey, look, there's not a little part of me, a very large part of me that really needs and wants this team to get out of the goddamn gutter. I'm just saying, and it's just salt on the wound when, your arch rivals, your most hated team is the most successful team right now in all of baseball. They have a chance at winning 3 World Series in a row, and they have the best record in the major leagues right now. So it's just a double-edged sword. It really, really sucks right now. But we're here. We haven't given up.
Well, we can't. We're going to always be loyal and associated to this team. Every
Who
team.
we are.
Right, and every team goes through its down cycle, and it makes the winning that much greater. As an Niner fan, y'all haven't won it since '94. I'm sure it feels like an eternity to you. Well, I've got 11 more years on you, and it feels 9 more years on you, and it feels like an eternity to me.
Right.
As a Bears fan. So it happens. Your team does not win the championship very often. The problem with the Giants, though, is like you said. 01 is the only time they've qualified for the playoffs. 21 is the only time they've qualified for the playoffs in 9 years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it is. It's frustrating. But that's why we try to keep it light. And we do appreciate everybody who still tunes in, when it comes to a team that is struggling like this. Because, it's not always free to talk about a team like this. And I guess you and I, we give our raw opinions. We got no problem with that.
Yeah. Well, misery loves company, and thanks for coming along for the ride. Hopefully you still stick with us. So, because not everyone has, and I understand, when times are good, listenership is up. When times are bad, listenership is down, but it doesn't affect our willingness and desire to do this podcast. But I think that's going to do it for episode 343. You can follow us collectively on Twitter at TortureCast, individually at ChadK21 for myself, at 2OutHits with the number 2 for Eric. Not always on there these days because of a little bit of the toxic nature, but I try to do what I can. However, if you do want to reach out to us, I am checking email all the time. Certainly Facebook too. If you want to leave a comment there, facebook.com/torturecast, torturecast@gmail.com. You could also find everything that we post at torturecast.com. All right, Eric, anything else to sign off with?
Sorry, Bob.
All right. Well, that'll do it, guys. We'll see you in a couple weeks when I'm nice and tan and I can talk about some of my scuba diving adventures. Actually, maybe not. My arm sucks. Anyway, that'll do it. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Go Giants? ?
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.